winner of 34 singles titles, and of course is the youngest man to ever win a major. Please welcome Hall of Famer Michael Chang. Guys, Michael Chang is in the house. Let's hear it. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time being here. You know, I know that nowadays tennis is still very much a part of your life with your kids playing. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how you're still very involved and, you know, how basically there's still passion in the tennis world for the Chang family.
Absolutely. Actually, can I start off saying one thing? So you guys all know Steve Furgal because of all the unbelievable places that he takes you guys. So I know Steve Furgal from San Diego when he had his junior tennis academy, and I would go there and be a part of it. So you guys, just to give you a little bit of history. So a lot of fun memories in San Diego.
I heard you were 9 when you played there. That's what he said.
I was very young. You know, it's incredible. San Diego has such. How many are from San Diego here? There you go. San Diego has such an incredible, you know, history of tennis. Obviously, the Barnes Center now has some unbelievable, you know, tour events, both on the ATP and WTA tour. I used to play a lot at Morley Field. In Balboa Park, so we played all of our big junior tournaments there. Our national boys 12s was there, so I have a lot of great memories playing in San Diego. And even nowadays, I still get down to San Diego to play to watch my daughter play some tournaments, and hopefully one day she'll be out there playing the WTA event, and maybe even here one day. But you know, like you said, Michelle, I mean, tennis for us is. It's a family affair. My wife is also a tennis player. I don't know if you guys know that. So I married Amber Liu. So Amber, she's very humble. A lot of people actually don't know, but she was #1 in the 18 and unders, girls 18 and unders, and so she was got a full ride to Stanford. Won NC2A singles her freshman and sophomore year. And they won team competition 3 of the 4 years that she was there at Stanford. So, and it was kind of funny. So when I would go and hit a little bit with Lonnie, our oldest, so we have Lonnie's 13, Miley's 11, and then Micah's 8. So I would hit with Lonnie a lot when she was young. And so I had one week, I think I was traveling with Kei Nishikori, and so naturally, you know, Amber had to take over the tennis training duties. So Lonnie was pretty young, and she kind of goes out there on the court, and she's kind of like, I don't know, how's Mom going to hit with me? And so she starts hitting balls, and Lonnie goes, wow, you know how to play tennis? So she told me this story, and I was just on the floor laughing. And then, so she actually ended up getting inducted into the Stanford Hall of Fame, and she was talking about how now I got a little bit of, you know, street credit, you know, in my family because my kids now know that I can play tennis.
Well, kids always think their parents are so uncool, right? Well, you know, I don't know if you have now more opportunities to watch tennis, and I know there's a lot of a new crop of American tennis players coming up, both on men's and women's side. What do you like, and who do you think is the next American hopeful that could win a Grand Slam?
Well, you know, I tell you, we have not had a generation like this generation since our generation, to be completely honest with you. So, you know, our generation was myself, Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, Jim Courier, Malavia Washington, Todd Martin. So we had a great crop of American talent, and it was interesting because when we would play a lot of junior tournaments, if you didn't work hard, you were at the back of the pack. And none of us wanted to be at the back of the pack. And you look at this generation now, I mean, you've got, you know, Taylor Fritz, who's obviously a former champion here, Tommy Paul, you know, Ben Shelton with that kind of, you know, soft serve that he puts out there. You know, you've got a lot of great, you know, players. Francis Tiafoe is another one. And we have so many guys in the in the top 100 now, and we haven't had this for a very long time. So, you know, these guys can all play. I mean, I don't know if you saw Tommy play today. You know, Taylor Fritz is obviously doing great. You know, we'll see. I mean, I think the opportunities are going to be there. It's just going to be a matter of being able to capitalize on it. But you know, it's tough. I mean, this generation now. You know, I mean, Roger's retired now. You know, Rafa's kind of finishing out. You know, this year. Novak, you know, he's still going strong. Even though he had, you know, a little bit of a hiccup here. And then you've got this whole new crop of players: Alcaraz, Sinner, Tsitsipas, Rune. It's going to be a lot of fun. Honestly, I think tennis is in very safe hands for the coming years.
Well, no matter how you look at it, though, we always think back to one of the best tennis moments ever in history was you winning the 1989 French Open. Two matches that stand out, if you guys remember, Ivan Lendl and Stefan Edberg. And of course, that's where the underhand serve really came out and about. Tell us a little bit, you know, about that moment, because I think all of us who play tennis just want to know, as a kid, what were you thinking taking on the #1 player in the world at the time?
Well, I'll tell you what, thankfully I actually had played Ivan before, so I wasn't like the first time. You know, the first time you play these guys that you watch on TV, it's nerve-wracking. The first guy that I played, that I really watched a lot on TV, was actually McEnroe in '88. So I played John McEnroe the year before, and that was my first really kind of, you know, big top 10, top 5 guy that I'd ever played before. And you know, I won a couple rounds. I ended up playing him in the 3rd round. He goes, if you can picture John saying this, so he goes in the press conference the day before, and so I'm 16. You know, I won the French when I was 17, so in '88 I was 16. And he goes, I'm going to teach this little 16-year-old how to play tennis. So unfortunately, I get wind of this. So we're the last match of the day on court 1. And my first mistake was that I let John McEnroe walk out first. So if you know anything about being in Paris with the French crowd there, they love emotion. So whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry, they want to see it. And when they see it, they appreciate it. And John's got a lot of emotion. So he walks out on the court, packed house, last match of the day. And the crowd, the door swings open, the crowd goes nuts, and he goes like this. He goes like this. And I'm 16 years old, I walk out, and I'm literally like, I feel like I'm like the ball boy that's supposed to carry his bag. I was so unbelievably nervous. I lost the first 2 sets, 6-0, 6-1, probably in like 50 minutes. Finally settled down, and then I ended up losing 6-3 in the 3rd set. But I'll tell you what, that experience right then and there really actually helped me the following year. Because by that time I played Stefan Edberg, I played Ivan Lendl, I played all these guys, and I knew what it was like to be able to be out there on a big court in front of a lot of people playing these guys that I grew up watching on TV. And so when I played Ivan, finally in '89, like, it was just like, all right, there's Ivan, let's go battle. So it was not really, it wasn't in awe so much, and it was much easier, obviously, to go out there and compete. And the match was, you know, I mean, it's a match that I'm probably most well known for. And people have asked me, they said, well, you know, how's your relationship with Ivan? And I said, actually, strangely enough, I actually get along really well with Ivan. You know, you know, when he's coaching Andy Murray and I was coaching Kei Nishikori, we see each other actually quite a bit on tour. We talk a lot about tennis. We talk a lot about strategy, actually, because he's, you know, obviously trying to get whatever he can to help Andy. He knows that I'm very studious as well. We'll talk about our kids. We have golf in common as well. Strangely enough, all these years, we have never, ever talked about the French Open. Never ever have we talked about the French Open, and I will never ask him.
Great story. All right, before we let you go, let's take some questions from the fans out here. This is your chance to ask Michael Chang a question. Yes, go.
How did it feel to go back to the West Side Tennis Club to play in the early 2000s? And do you like that stadium and court better than Flushing Meadow?
Okay, question is, how did it feel to play at the West Side Tennis Club back in the 2000s, and did you like that better than Flushing Meadows?
You know, I never played the U.S. Open there. I'm not that old. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. So I played my first U.S. Open was at Flushing Meadow in '87. I was 15 years old. I actually played as an amateur. So the reason why I played as an amateur is because I won the 18s Nationals in Kalamazoo. So if you win the 18s Nationals in Kalamazoo, singles or doubles, or you win the NC2As, singles or doubles, they give you a wild card to play at the U.S. Open. So that was my very first U.S. Open as a 15-year-old. So.
Two-time finalist too at the U.S. Open, right?
I like that. Sounds better. That sounds better. I'm actually a losing finalist in 1996.
Okay.
Can I share with you my heartbreak?
Yes.
So I go into the U.S. Open. I'm ranked three in the world, and I go in there. And do you guys remember the match that Pete Sampras played against Alex Corretja?
Yes.
So it was a round of 16 match. They were playing 5 unbelievably tough sets, and toward the end of the 5th set, Pete was getting sick. I don't know if you remember, he threw up in the back of the court.
Oh no.
So I'm watching this match, and I realize that if he loses this match, and I continue on in this tournament, I'm going to be #1 in the world. So, I mean, being the compatriot that I am, I'm like, come on, Corretja, let's go. So we're playing this match, and I don't know if you remember, but Corretja has a match point in that 5th set. So Pete comes in, he hits a little cross-court angle volley that's a sitting duck. Alex comes and he has this forehand, and it's right on the service line. He's got all the time in the world. And I'm thinking, and I'm watching this live. I'm watching this live at my uncle's house. And I'm like, put that ball away, put it away. And he goes and he hits it cross court. And would you believe, Pete goes like this. He guesses, because he's a completely dead duck there. He guesses to his right, sticks his racket out. He frames the volley, and it dribbles over for a winner. And I'm looking at that, and I'm going, no! He comes back, and he wins the match. He goes in the locker room, they're giving him IVs, because he was dehydrated and all this stuff. And I end up going and playing Pete Sampras in the finals. We have a 2-hour rain delay before we come out and we play. I end up losing 6-1, 6-1, 6-4. I have a set point in the 3rd set, and I come in on a good shot, and Pete ends up hitting this passing shot cross court. My volley is right here. It's right on that ball, and it clips the tape. It clips the tape, and I shanked the volley, and that was my one chance to get that 3rd set. And you know, if I won the 3rd set, I would have won the match. I mean, that's just fact, right? So I end up losing the tiebreaker. So I tell people I'm technically 1 point shy of being the #1 player in the world. So now I got to settle for #2.
Well, I have a daughter very similar in age to yours, so what's your best piece of advice that you give to your daughters?
So you want advice for your daughter, or you want advice for you? I'll tell you, the reason why I ask that, because I think it's twofold, right? Because I honestly believe that as a parent, Because I think as a parent, we've gone through a lot of different things in our life where maybe we understand discipline, we understand hard work, but sometimes we forget what it was like when we were young and how important it was to just enjoy something and be passionate about it. And tennis is one of these things where if you really enjoy it, it's very easy to be passionate about it. And when you're passionate about it, your hard work doesn't seem like hard work. So I feel like for me as a parent, yes, I'm training my daughter and trying to help her to become the best tennis player possible. But my higher priority is that she enjoys the game. Because what ends up happening is that regardless of what happens, if she's out here one day playing in Indian Wells or she doesn't make it professionally, at least I want her to be able to say, I love tennis and I'm going to play for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's something that's really, really important. Now I feel like from a kid's point of view, now my daughter just turned 13. So she's now approaching that kind of teenage years where she starts kind of questioning a little bit more, which is good. And I kind of almost have to take a little bit of a different approach sometimes. I have to sometimes be a little bit creative. I'll give you an example. So our second daughter is a golfer. So she's 11 years old. She loves golf. So we started her actually in tennis. And we started her, young, and when they're young, they grip the racket with two hands, right? So, I would drop the ball, and all the other kids, they do this, right? I drop the ball, and she do this. I'm like, no, that's pretty good, sweetie, pretty good, but you need to come around a little bit more, not quite so up and down, and so, okay, Daddy, give me another try, Like this, Daddy? And I'm looking at Amber, my wife, and I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? And so I ended up starting my daughter in golf. And she loves golf. But you know what? She hates standing on the range and hitting balls for hours. So you know what? I make everything a game. I said, okay, let's see. Who can chip it closest to that hole? Who can hit it closest to that flag? Let's play putting games. I'll tell you what, you beat me in a chipping game, we'll go to Dairy Queen. Right? I'll tell you what, the concentration level, all of a sudden, boom, is there on every shot. It's there on every shot. I'm not telling her, if I say, I want you to take these next 15 balls and hit it as close as you can to that flag and be super focused and super concentrated. You know what she's going to end up doing? She's going to go like this. And she's just going to reel them off, and she's not going to gain anything. So if you can kind of make things very fun and try to understand a little bit where your daughter's coming from, and I think if you're able to be patient, I think there are times where your child will actually start to recognize that you're trying to be patient, and I think they'll actually end up being patient back. If that makes sense. Now, it's not always the case. I wish I didn't have any tough days. Obviously, there are some tough days. But, I think that when you're trying to improve, unfortunately, you're going to have that because nothing comes easy. If everything comes easy, everybody's out there playing, right? So.
Well, I mean, we have coaching, we have insight of tennis. Michael Chang, you are a delight. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you and your family. We hope to see your daughter play here very soon.